जी जी उनसे मेरे मुझे संबंध है तो हमेशा कहते हैं कि मेरे पास भगवान को दिया सब कुछ क्योंकि समय नहीं है
His Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche and former Chief Minister, in fact the first Chief Minister of our state, Shri Pema Khandu, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, my Minister colleague, my MLA colleagues, my AG, Chief Secretary and all the distinguished guests. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be present here today at this distinguished gathering to listen and understand the profound topic of secular ethics and governance. I extend my deepest gratitude to His Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche for kindly consenting to deliver a talk on this subject. We sure will be enlightened with his invaluable insights and profound wisdom on this subject that holds great significance of our times, in our times. To my understanding, secular ethics refers to a framework of moral principles that are not based on religious beliefs but on reason, human values, and a concern of human well-being. It emphasizes universal ethical principles such as justice, equality, and respect for human rights. Governance in the context of secular ethics involves making policies and decisions based on these universal principles to ensure fairness in the administration of public affairs and promoting a government that is accountable, transparent, respecting the rights and freedoms of all individuals. His Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche, former Kalon Tripa or the Prime Minister, Tibetan government in exile, is an accomplished Buddhist monk scholar. The pamphlets given to you shows the illustrious assignments held by him in various fields and the level of his scholarly accomplishments. He is an ardent follower of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and a strong advocate for secular ethics. From his deep understanding of Buddhist philosophy and the teachings of Dalai Lama, His Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche promotes a vision of ethics that transcends religious boundaries. We are privileged to be listening to him on the topic and to enrich ourselves with his profound wisdom. For your kind information, Your Eminence, let me tell you that here in this hall today, we have galaxies of eminent personalities of the state belonging to all walks of life. In a state of Arunachal Pradesh, which is endowed with diverse culture, languages and traditions, the principle of secular ethics are particularly relevant. Your discourse on the topic will definitely guide us all in our commitment and endeavor to achieve sustainable and inclusive goals of development and decision-making process, thereby contributing to our overall well-being of the society. It will also inspire us to reflect deeply on our roles and responsibilities as citizens and leaders. In closing, let us remember that the strength of a society lies not just in its economic or technological achievements, but its moral fabrics too. Let us work together to weave a fabric of governance that is ethical, guided by the timeless principles of compassion, empathy, and mutual respect. Thank you, Your Eminence, for your time. Thank you all for being here today, for your commitment to making Arunachal a beacon of ethical governance. Jai Hind, Jai Arunachal.
Thank you, Honorable Senior Sir. With this, we have the honor to kindly request His Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche to please proceed with the talk.
Vidyate kalpuna jalam gambe udar murtahe Naman samanta badriya samanta trishe Shrude Bhikkhu Sangh Paramadरणीय माननीय श्री पेमा खंडू जी मुख्यमंत्री अरुणाचल प्रदेश स्पीकर डिप्टी स्पीकर एंड अन्य मंत्रीगण और उच्च अधिकारीगण, विशेष रूप से हमारे पुराने नेता श्री थोंगन साहब, बहुत दिनों के बाद मुलाकात हो रहे हैं, जिनके नेतृत्व में सारनाथ संस्था की स्थापना में, विकास में बहुत योगदान उनका रहा जब डिप्टी एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर थे, और उनके सहयोग से हिमालय क्षेत्र में सर्वे वगैरह बहुत कम करने का मौका मिला, और अन्य धर्मों की गुरुजान भी उपस्थित मालूम पड़ता है। सभी उपस्थित महानुभावों और मित्रों, सर्वप्रथम दिवंगत पूर्व मंत्री अभी जो हमने साइलेंस किए हैं, उनके प्रति श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूँ और त्रिरत्न से प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि उनकी चित्त संतति को शांति मिले, सुगति प्राप्त हो। सभी संबंधों को संवेदना प्रकट करता हूँ, इस क्षति को सहन करने की शक्ति दें। मित्रों, मुझे आदेश हुआ है सेकुलर एथिक्स एंड गवर्नेंस पर कुछ शब्द कहने के लिए। हमने बिना सोचे से हम सब के आदेश को स्वीकार कर लिया, लेकिन इसको पूरा करने में मैं कितना सक्षम होंगे मैं स्वयं मालूम नहीं, क्योंकि ये विषय बहुत विशाल है। अब इस समय, since this subject has taken as a full subject which is being taught from primary school to a postgraduate level, and it has so many aspects. So therefore, I don't feel myself competent to deal with the subject. Nevertheless, since I have been associated with His Holiness, and I have the opportunity to see the development of this subject for the last 26, 27 years. The subject involves secular, ethics, and governance, the three different vocabulary. Each one of these vocabulary carries very deep and vast connotation. First of all, we shall have to do a little bit about secular. Secular is a word which is being created and included in the dictionaries of English language, not very before. It was only in the age of Renaissance, and the process of separating the religion and church. For quite some time, in Western countries, the church has a great role to play in the governance of the states. And later on, they find it little inconvenience, and therefore a movement to separate the church and the states. And actually in the beginning, it was a separation of church as an institution and state as an institution, to separate this institution's functions according to newly emerging laws. But later on, people think that it is separation of religion and polity. I think that is not the perfect understanding of the connotation of the word, as well as the development in the history. Religion cannot be separated from life of the humanity. If religion is separated from the life of humanity, then the religion may not be survive. So anyhow, in the present, the word secular is being interpreted in many different ways. If you look into the Encyclopedia Britannica, you will find more than 40 different connotations attached to this word. But what we, or what His Holiness, or what we Indians or Tibetans understand about secular, we understand it in Gandhi's interpretation: equal respect to all religion, sarva dharma sambhava. Sarva dharma sambhava means each religion is equally to be respected by all humanity. And there's no superior religion, no inferior religion, there's no differentiation among the religions. Of course, for individuals, the Dhammadat might feel Christianity is best for him, or the Yogadat may feel some other religion is best for her. So that is only in accordance with the individual's mental disposition. Otherwise, all the religions are to be respected equally. Even atheist or non-religious, non-believer has every right to remain non-believer, but non-believer does not have a right to disrespect any religion. So this Sarvadharma Sambhava is the real word which coined by Mahatma Gandhi is a very good equivalent word in Hindi for the word secular. In Indian Constitution, in the beginning, of course it was a later edit, the secular word, it was interpreted in Hindi, Dharma Nirpechta. Dharma Nirpechta, Dharma Nirpechta, Nirpech word is quite strong, and it is a little difficult to understand how a constitution or how a nation to be nirpech of any dharma. But it was later on changed as Panth Nirpechta. Panth is referring to what we call Sampradaya, and that I think that is a little better word. Since this word is a bit complicated, why His Holiness choose this word for his ethics teaching? There are a number of reasons for that. The first reason is in the ancient time, in the tradition, the ethics, the morality, the values are being taught through his various religious traditions. And religious teachers are answerable to bring ethics and morality among the society. But time goes by, the religions are decaying. Not only one or two particular religions, the entire religion in the world are facing the similar kind of decay. I am Buddhist. I know how much during last 500 years, how much the Buddhism is decaying among the society. My late friend, Rebon Panikar, a Catholic priest, used to say that there is three different categories: the religiousness, religiosity, and religionism. Religiousness refers to the real teachings of the Dharma, and that deals with the ultimate truth, or sometimes referring to relative truth as well, but it remains with the truth, nothing else. And that has been almost disappeared from the surface of earth. And the religiosity, the rituals, the prayers, the chantings, the various monastic institutions, these are the religiosity. In this, some of them are within the boundary of religion, and many of them just humane, unnecessary activity in the name of religion. Then religionism is an ism the ego enters in. As and when ego enters anything, that completely destroys. Now today, people used to think and talk about my religion, their religion. My religion is more better and superior than the other religions. So religion can never be my. It can never be the property of any individual. So no ego can own the religion. So therefore, for the last number of centuries, the religious are not performing properly at the society level. it might be performing at the level of the individuals. There are many good individual religious people are there, but it is very obvious how it is a decay. Now a vocabulary, religious intolerance, religious tolerance, these are used in official languages and in the society it is very commonly used. There should not be religious intolerance and there should be religious tolerance. Religion can never be intolerant. So religious tolerance is talking something absolutely unexistent. Anyone is a religious person, he or she can never be intolerant. Anyone is intolerant, he or she can never be a religious person. That's very clear. And religious tolerance is also disrespect to religion. Religions are to be respected, not be tolerated. To tolerate means it is unacceptable, but I do not oppose, I tolerate it. So this kind of word shows the humanity has completely forgotten the religiousness. So therefore, now in absence of religiousness, we talk about the religion, then it will again become a cause of division. The Buddhist ethics should be more giving importance, or the Christianity or the Islam ethics should be given more importance, and so on and so forth. So therefore, the first reason to use the word of secular is due to the decay of all the religious traditions at this moment. And more practical reasons that today the majority of the nations are claim they are secular nations, secular countries, secular constitutions. And in such, religious things cannot be taught in the government-run schools. So a secular ethic can be taught in every school, in respect of any run by secular government or non-secular government. So this is a second kind of reason. And thirdly, a large number of human population on this globe, they are non-believers. They do not belong to any religious tradition. They are quite clear they are non-believers. They should also need ethics, education of ethics. So to include the non-believers or not belonging to any religious tradition should also to have the ethic education. So these are few reasons His Holiness choose this word secular. But later on, a number of university institutions, they are little hesitate to use this word secular, particularly certain society or nations. The secular word is used for the anti-religion or against religion or to oppose the religion. So therefore, later on, the name of secular ethics is being a little softened, saying by the C learning, social, emotional, and ethical learning. That's been developed by the Emory University after a number of years research. So that is about the use of secular by His Holiness, and then why he used the ethics. In Buddhist language, the Shila is the most important word, and then Naitikita is another word. Then also Sadachara, that is third word. And then also we may call it Sakaratamak Bhivar, Kushal Bhivar. And similarly, in the English language, the ethics, the values, and good conduct, and there are many other words are available. But ethics is more comprehensive in the spiritual tradition, and also it includes not only external physical action, it also includes the righteousness of the mindset. So therefore the ethic word is used. Then how it has been developed. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, began to travel in the Western countries, in other words, the developed countries, around 1970s. And many Western scholars, policymakers, public leadership have encountered with His Holiness, and they have extensive dialogue with them. And then he began to give some kind of fresh and new message to them, and they become quite popular, and their response was very positive. Among them, one of the principles of universal responsibility. The concept of universal responsibility became very popular in the Western countries. And similarly, compassionate revolution. The world has seen a number of revolutions, but all the revolutions in the history are caused by anger and acted through violence and ended up a huge destruction. Now new revolution must be compassionate based, compassionate revolution. It should be tried in the 21st century. A book, Compassionate Revolution in French, was translated in about 14 languages and become bestseller in the West. And similarly, a concept of love force and a concept of better we, better world. Now many people are conducting workshops and discussions on a better way, better world, how to improve oneself and then improve we, and then how we are able to improve the world. So these things are popular. And similarly, the secular ethics is a result of inquiries and discussions which have, in the year 1998, 1999, many Western scholars have encountered with His Holiness, and they have asked many questions. And then what kind of ethics should we promote in the new millennium? Accidentally, the new year of year 2000, His Holiness was in Varanasi, and I was also working there. So at that time, the technology was not so advanced. In spite of that, we have some kind of connection between West America and Varanasi, and His Holiness give a welcome in the new millennium. And that address become later on developed in the book form that called Ethics for New Millennium. And that is the first seed of the secular ethics. And before that, His Holiness also wrote Good Heart, Art of Happiness. In these books also carries the some preliminary stage or seeds of the ethics for secular ethics. And then finally, he wrote the book that's very popular and famous, Ethics for Beyond Religion, Ethics for Whole World. Beyond Religion, Secular Ethics, it was firstly titled, but later on, due to suggestions of the many scholars, Beyond Religion, Ethics for Whole Religion. So that is the complete form of the secular ethics. So this is how gradually developed, and then it become a kind of subject which can be included into the regular curriculums of the school education. So this thought, His Holiness wanted to implement it into the school syllabi, curriculum, and for which academic institution is necessary to develop them. Then the first, His Holiness' own institution, Mind Life. Mind Life is the institution based in US who take care of the dialogue, continuing dialogue between the Buddhist science and modern science. Now, which is almost 35 years old, and there's ongoing dialogue, the Buddhist science and modern science, particularly the physicists, the neurologists, the psychologists, three disciplines in the modern scientific world, and the entire Buddhist scientific knowledge in the Buddhist side, and there are continued dialogues going on. And that institute has developed the secular ethics in a document which is called Care, and in which they have included development of care, development of self-care, and giving care to the others. So in the three different levels. But that was not me able to make a complete syllabus for the school subject. And then number of years, some research and consultation work has been carried out by the center created in the name of His Holiness in the Emory University, and one Indian professor, Professor Rosnathan Zinegi, under his leadership, a group of scholars, educationists, psychologists, and some kind of moral studies, social studies. They have worked hard for quite a long time, and they have come out in 2016 a complete form of syllabi from primary school to graduate level. And now it is experimenting about 86 or 87 different countries, mostly Europe, America, Latin America, Africa, and Southeast Asian few countries, and also in India. In India, there's another institution, Ayugyan. Ayugyan Institute is working for the particularly suitable to Indian schools. They also have about 20 schools are now experimenting these subjects. So these are how the secular ethics as a subject to be taught in the school level. Now, I should speak a little bit. What was the ground base on which His Holiness is developing the secular ethics as a subject? The first ground is equality of the all sentient being. In the Western countries, they used to talk about the equality of humanity. But except Buddhist people, no one considers the equality of all sentient beings. Actually, all sentient beings are equal. So this is a reality. It is not a thought projection. All sentient beings, all living beings are equal. Although they appear unequal in the size, in the capacity, in the mental attitude, but there are three basic things are completely equal. The first basic thing is every sentient being likes happiness, dislikes misery. No one is liking misery and disliking happiness. Everyone is looking for happiness, and everyone is looking for away from the suffering or unhappiness. This is a similarity to everyone. And secondly, if we think from the point of right, today in the modernity, everybody talks about right. So each sentient being have a right to pursue happiness and right to eliminate unhappiness and misery. You cannot find anyone, this sentient being should not have or does not have a right to pursue happiness or right to avoid unhappiness. So at the right level, they are same. And the third is the potential. Each one sentient being has the potential of developing its mind unlimitedly. It can go up to the Buddha nature. So, from the potential viewpoint also, everyone is equal. An elephant has the potential to achieve Buddhahood. A small insect, invisible insect, has also the potential to achieve Buddha nature, if the person is get to right path and methods. So this is the equality of every sentient being from three viewpoints. you can establish very well. So, therefore, to achieve an ethical life, which is the first step of achieving happiness and avoiding unhappiness, and ethical life is the first step. So therefore, whether anyone believe in religion, no believe in religion, anyone has to approach to ethical life. So that was the one reason to making a curriculum of secular ethics. And secondly, it is a necessary requirement for all sentient beings, particularly for the human beings. All the living creatures, all the sentient beings are interdependent. There are different species. Some of them are social living beings and some of them unsocial living beings. Whatever it may be, a living being is interdependent to other living beings. Since all living beings, all sentient beings are interdependent, then good relationship is a source of happiness. Conflict is a source of unhappiness. So to live with nature, with other sentient beings in a good relationship, that needs ethical life, ethical idea. And all the problems the humanity is facing today, the sentient beings are facing today, are entirely created by humanity due to negative emotions. So that's very clear. So therefore, the ethical approach, particularly for the human beings, because human beings are more responsible, whatever is happening, what challenges coming to the planet is not created by animal kingdom or other species. It's all human conflict with nature, human conflict with the human beings, all these are coming from that. So therefore, the human value, the human ethics shall have to be restored, without which the problems facing by us today may not be able to find a suitable solution. The challenges are quite a number of challenges. For example, the increase of violence in the form of war, in the form of terrorism, in the form of many other forms. Now, no one is able to think safe and secure. Everywhere, people are doubting to each other. It is very clear when we go to the aeroplane, how much security check is necessary. Almost everyone is doubted, maybe some terrorist or something like that. So this kind of situation is there. The increase of violence for necessary or largely for unnecessary violences. Even today, number of places declare war, undeclare war, terrorism, and small conflicts are almost every day's event. So that is one of the challenge. The other challenge is inequality in the wealth. The poor and the rich, the gap is increasing, and the humanity has been converted into a from user to the consumer. And since we are consumer, we consume the entire natural resources, and which cause a great damage to the environment. Gandhi have said very rightly, the entire planet Earth is capable of feeding the necessity of every living being, but it cannot be satisfied one single person's greed. So now we are after greed, and we are misusing, we are consuming, so that is we destroy the environment. The distortion of the environment is causing the climate change. In India, Ladakh was never experienced through ages such a flood or what we call huge, unusual rain in which many people's life has been destroyed. And the global warming is also the scientific people telling that if something is not done immediately, the planet Earth may not be usable or livable after certain years. Within this very century, in the 21st century, such danger may come. So these are the challenges. And the only humanity's hope for solution and surviving, many people hope for the religious traditions, but religious has disappeared. The name of religions have become a cause of division and violence. The medicine itself become poison. So such situation, all these are human creation. To encounter to this human creation, we shall have to revive the human value system. To revive the human value system, we shall have to approach through education, because now majority of the countries do have a kind of a universal education system, and every child goes for school, except few underdeveloped countries may not have sufficient schools. Generally, everybody approaches to the school. And in the school curriculum, if there is inclusion of ethical values, can be in real sense arose in the young generation of the humanity. And this is possible because it is in accordance with the human nature. The human nature is not violent, not aggressive. Human basic nature is compassionate, loving person. I am not telling this. The modern scientific people have a number of experiments have been done with a small newly born child, 3, 4 months or 5 months old. They have been put experiments showing the fighting pictures and loving pictures, conflictful pictures, and their reaction shows that their basic nature is compassionate. They like loving each other. They don't like struggling with each other. So these are scientific findings. So it is a temporary condition. Our mind is pure, unpolluted, but it is being conditioned through the family, through the education, through the society, through the advertisements and newses and all kinds of informations that pollutes our mind. So therefore, to re-arising the inner human intelligence so that the humanity may become less violent and more cooperative. This can only be done through education. Education at this moment is becoming a source of conditioning on the negative way. Now we shall have to bring back education to arising the inner intelligence of the humanity through ethical teachings. My late friend Jiddu Krishnamurti always used to say repeatedly, the basic purpose of education must be to awaken the inner intelligence of the humanity so that the person can flower in goodness. Once the inner intellect is aroused, stimulated, then the positive and negative action need not be taught. The person by itself able to realize what is the doable, what is the not doable, what is positive, what is the negative. From one's own rational, discriminating mind, the intelligence can decide for oneself. So, to these objectives, to do these things, make the secular ethic education become necessary, not only necessary, urgently needed for every human being. Unless and until the human values, human ethics are restored, then the future of the planet Earth, the future of humanity is not very bright. That is not a statement of religious persons or ourselves. It is the findings of the modern scientific people from the viewpoint of the environment, from the viewpoint of the climate change, from the viewpoint of the global warming, and apart from that, from the viewpoint of the unnecessary struggle and violence, which is only being encouraged just for small or big profits of the few industrial owners. The war, the possibility of war are kept always ongoing, not for something which cannot be solved without any war. It was only for the wars are not fought in today. The wars are not fought for winning or losing. It is for the consumption of the weapon production. I remember during my lifetime, the Vietnam War was dragged on for 18 years. If the parties wish to win, they can win it within few hours. If they wish to withdraw, they can withdraw at any time. But winning, losing, or withdrawing, make peace is not the object. To continue it in order to consume the productions of weaponry. Now today, the mass destructive weapons are being produced. If you use them, it will be suicidal for everyone. If you don't use them, then why spend such money to produce them? But it creates a fear, uncertainty for many nations' mind. Therefore, they also have to spend, keeping their people starving, and they spend money for purchasing or developing weaponry things. So this is the real situation of today. So unless human intellect is awake and the human ethics are reconstructed, we will not be able to see a violent-free, a peaceful condition of the world may not be able to achieve. So these are the few related things why the secular ethics become necessary, and His Holiness has taken pains to develop this principle. In the beginning, I was not very hopeful this can bring visible results during our lifetime. But watching the popularity it become during last 5-6 years, I do have hope that this might be able to bring some positive change in the younger generation of the future world. So now, what is the nutshell how the sea learning or secular ethic is being structured? All the human behavior is governed by mindset. Physical worker actions all comes from mind, or I use the Western word, from the heart. It's not from the brain. And change of heart, change of human emotion, that is the key factor. So therefore we shall have to directly address the human mindset, the human emotions. And the beginning of the secular ethic begins to teach the children miming the mind, to watch the mind, how thoughts come, how thoughts go, what kind of thoughts are arising and elaborating and disappearing. To look into words is the beginning of the training. So which is called miming the mind, to make a mime of the mind. At this moment, even the elders, we are not aware of what is going on in our mind. Krishnamurti used to emphasize the awareness, observation. To observe one's mind is very difficult. We can observe any kind of outside, the arts and the objects and the colors, very well can observe and can also remember. But the thought process going on in our mind is very difficult to observe. And many thoughts come and go away, and later on you remember, oh, I have thought something. So this is the human weakness. So what kind of positive and negative thought arises, you should have alertness, observation, the thought is coming. So this is miming the thought. And thereafter, the ethics of restraint. Whenever a negative thought comes, argue with a negative thought and try to eliminate it or to reduce it. If anger comes, argue with the anger. Why? What kind of wrong things done by the other person to whom you are angry? And there may be many reasons, then you argue with them. Later on, you will find some suitable argument and you can reduce or you can eliminate the anger. So there's restraining. And then the third point is the ethics of virtues, at that time, not only fighting, opposing the negative thoughts, but accumulating the positive thoughts, love, kindness, and good wishes, happiness. So with effort to accumulate them and serving others, helping others, this kind of virtuous things, accumulating the ethics of virtues. Then the next is the ethics of discriminating the good and bad, analyzing the things. That is the real difficult and most important thing. Then the last is the ethics of the loving kindness. Loving kindness is the method, and discriminating mind is the wisdom. Method and wisdom must go together. The method must be accompanied by wisdom, and the wisdom must be combined with loving kindness, and these two are the real source of good ethics. So this is how, in a nutshell, to begin with the children and train the mind with information, with contemplation, with meditation. First information, second contemplation, and third meditation. All these are taught through a sequence way, so I cannot elaborate them, but it is just a nutshell how it goes that way. Looking into the time limitations, now I should take the last one, the governance. Governance is a big action which is to be taken by leadership, by groups, or by joint effort of people, or sometimes by singular leadership as well. So, not only to look after individuals' well-being, to look after communities or nations' well-being, that is a huge thing. Buddha have not elaborated Buddhist social order. Only in the two sutras, such as Nagaraj Sagar's Perpetual Sutra, 10 भूमि 10 गर्भ 10 भूमि sutra, these two sutras talk about how a ruler, how a governance should do with the people. And later on, more elaborate treatises have been written by Acharya Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna was after 400 years of the Buddha's Parinirbana, and he have friends with the kings or rulers. So Ratnavali is an upadesh given to a ruler, and Niti Shatak also and kind of advice. Then, in the Tibetan scholars have written Niti Shastras, all of them talking basically rule of law instead of rule of person. That is one basic principle. In the governance, individuals' discrimination or approach may not be appropriate. There must be a well-set a rule. The rule of law is being implemented by unbiased and neutral-minded, with compassionate mind, implements them for the welfare and for the goodness of the people. That is the best way of the governance. And this modern system of Loktantra or Prajatantra, the democracy, in the form of seed, Buddha have given in the sutras, but not elaborated. But one thing we can look for is the Buddha's teachings about the organization of Bhikkhu Sangha. Organization of Bhikkhu Sangha, we call it Bhikkhu Karma, Sangha Karma. Sangha Karma means all the decisions are taken by the Bhikkhu Sangha. Is a kind of law-making. The Sangha Nayak shall have to report to the Sangha what is going to be done. And he need to read them 3 times. First reading, second reading, third reading. Then ask for the opinion of the individual monks. And each individual monk has the veto power. 100 monks Sangha, 99 monk agreed, 1 does not agreed, then it is not to be dominated by the majority idea. The minority idea shall have to be discussed at length and forming small committees to discuss them, and later on either the individual disagreement shall have to be removed through persuasion, through explanation, or the single person might be able to convince the majority through logic and reasoning. The idea behind is that if anyone has a solid reasoning and logic, then it should be understandable and it should be able to pursue everyone according to that logic. So this is a particular Sangha organization in which unanimity become must, and no single individual idea can be ignored or dominated by the idea of a majority. So this is a unique principle. And Bhinava Bhavi also tried to replicate in the Sarvodaya, and they make it necessary to make decisions unanimously, Sarva Sehmati. After a few years, they experienced it was impossible in today's world. Then they have little changed Sarva Anumati. Sarva Sehmati is not able to achieve, then Sarva Anumati means the opposed group also should give the permission to the idea of the majority. So this is also a good idea. During Buddha's time, 3-4 kingdoms at that time, Vishal and a couple was two, and some other provinces, some other kingdoms, used to have a Loktantra or Samutantra. In their systems also, they very much encourage the rule of law instead of a rule of individual. Now in the modern democratic system, the systems and the ideas are very good, but not single country was able to implement them in totality. The idea of sovereignty and where the sovereignty resides, that is according to different nations, they interpret differently. Since the sovereign in real republic countries, principally through the ideologically, the sovereign power, sovereign power is residing each individual. There may be some age limitation, otherwise, by that principle, each individual must have the veto power, but that is impossible. So anyhow, in a different way, the division of the law-making, law-implementing, and the law-defending, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, they divided and make some kind of check and balance. This is a good idea how to make a division of the powers, and also the division of powers have a check and balance. But in reality, implementation of these principles in ground, I have not seen any country as yet. It may be developed countries, or it may be underdeveloped countries or developed countries, wherever it may be, principally these things are governed. But in reality, there is a place for self-interest to the political parties, if it is a multi-party system, or even it is a partyless system. Some group has its own interest, that also interest of remaining in power. And by that way, the principle of division and the principle of respecting each other and the principle of participation of each citizen, which have having the equal share of the sovereignty of the nation, can express his or her will in a very effective manner, is become almost impossible. So therefore, to have in real sense completely unpolluted democratic system or republic system in today's world may not be possible. If you hope for that, it may be utopia idea. But at least what we can do is the people who govern the state, the nation, must have free from self-interest in any way. Self-interest means to remain in power indefinitely. For that, any kind of method is acceptable. So that is, I think, real difficult in the present world to govern it, to rule a state or a country with a complete unselfish motivation. So that is a difficult task. Because for the interest of the people, for the interest of the nation, number of unpopular decisions also need to take. And that also needs a selflessness attitude. And the interest of people, number of things which might be apparently causing damage to one's own popularity, that also difficult to give up. So therefore, the idea of equality and serving the people selflessly is to be defined with categorical reasons become more difficult. So the best way to have a good governance is all the decisions and projects and programs should be weighted and should be examined some of the cross-cutting principles. And by that way, then the real sense of rule of law comes in force. For example, to examine a developmental project, so it should be look from the viewpoint of violence and non-violence. Any project which involves directly or indirectly harming to any other sentient being, the nature or the environment or any living creature. This kind of one thing. I'm just giving examples. And second thing, whether this project is environment friendly or it is harming to the environment. And the third thing, this is sustainable or unsustainable. And the fourth is, does this work, the benefit or the profits will reach to the poorest of the poor. Gandhi have said that whenever you take a decision, keep in mind the poorest of people in your country and whether your effort will reach to that person or not. So this is very comprehensive statement. So if we have this kind of cross-cutting principles to examine everything through a positive mind and compassionate mind, then whatever you do, of course, then the other things, accountability and transparency, and these are, of course, necessary, but these are easy to achieve. The real thing is anything before deciding to be implemented, to be governed, is in real sense pure and unpolluted and beneficial and no violence. No violence to the nature, no violence to the living creatures, and sustainability, and it is beneficial to the poorest of poor. These few things are just like giving example. Apart from that, it may have various questions, so I will not able to go into details now. Time is also very much consumed, so I think I should stop my talking here. So sorry for not able to make a appropriate presentation. This is unprepared stare thoughts which I assembled here and presented to you. Thank you for your attention, and I don't know whether there is time for question or not. Whatever it may be, the organizers will decide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Muniz. Thank you for the enlightening talk. Before we start the Q&A session, I'd like to request every one of you that we have very short time, so we'll just take a few questions. Please try to make your questions brief. Floor is now open for questions. Please raise your hand so that our team can grab a mic for you. We have one there.
My heartiest pronouns to His Holiness, Eminence Professor Samdhong Rinpoche. Guruji, my question is, as an indigenous tribal, we are very much tolerant to all the foreign faiths and cultures. But many times we have seen that the foreign faith teachers and believers in many occasions say that culture and religion is totally two different aspects, and we should not mix these two. So, what is your take on this? Culture and religion is two different aspects.
Culture and religion is a two different aspects. Then, what is the question?
They preach, the foreign faith believers and their preachers, they say to us, the tribal indigenous faith believers, that this culture and religion are two different aspects and we should not mix these. But according to the tribal culture, without culture, there cannot be a faith. And when there is faith, then we have to follow certain cultures and traditions.
I am sorry, I could not clearly understood your question. Culture and religions are different. You say, that's okay. Then, can you repeat the question?
Guruji, I am saying that many foreign preachers and their believers, they say that they preach that culture and religion, these two are different. They preach that culture and religion are different. And we should not, when we are converted to one other faith, we should not follow certain cultures and their practices.
Oh.
They preach us like this.
They preach like this, then you shall have to the preachers, the teachers who preach this. Culture and religion are basically different, but there is a religious culture as well. Culture usually refers to a good behavior which is cultivated into the mind through good methods, and when it becomes a kind of habit, that is called culture. In Indian language, Sanskritic, संस्कार के माध्यम से कोई चीज़ सांस्कृतिक बन जाते हैं तो उसको कल्चर कहते हैं. Culture does not mean dance and songs alone. These are cultural expressions. If we go detailed, when culture is a quality of mind, and from that quality of mind, whatever comes out in the aesthetic sense, in the beauty sense, that is a cultural expression, which may be in a poetry, which may be in a song, all this. And in that, religious culture is also there. Now, all the culture need not to be based on the religion. On the secular things also you can make culture. But negative emotion through which some expression comes, that is not culture. That is not Sanskritic, but is Kusanskritic, the opposite of the culture. Now someone religious conversion take place, it does not mean the person should give up all kind of the good things, beauties which have from the old tradition of religion, old believers of religion should not be carried on. A dress, a song, a music, which does not interfere with religious faith. Why not it should be carried on? Apart from that, conversion of religion is very difficult to examine in the strict sense of religion. If someone really understands the religiousness, then the concept of changing or conversion is very difficult to understand. But it goes on in people's life, whether it is wrong or it is right, that's very difficult to judge. But the real sense is shall have to be watch the person. A person is converted from one spiritual tradition to another spiritual tradition. Then the spiritual mind of that person, how it transforms or how it changes, that is only can judge by oneself. No any other people will be able to judge that. If the spiritual quality of the mindset remain the same, then the conversion is just a word. You may change the temple, you may change the set of prayers, but your mind is in the old set. And similarly, even your spiritual qualitative mind is transformed some different form, yet your culture habits need not to be changed. Or if the competent authority means competent teacher who converted you says you shall have to leave this particularly with reason, then of course a rational mind should go according to the reason. I don't know whether it is answer to your question because I'm not able to very clearly understand your question. Sorry.
Your Eminence, thank you so much for your wonderful talk on secular ethics and governance. I was really edified by every word you spoke. It was really wonderful. And when you spoke about Raymond Panikar, I was recollecting by my own teacher who taught me also.
Oh, my great friend, long time.
Thank you so much. And I find that we can have lots of cooperation and collaboration on social issues like poverty, education, environmental protection. Thank you for emphasizing about the education. A number of times you spoke about education, which can bring about change in the society, and it was really heartening to know the things. My question is this: what does it mean to be truly equal, and how can we achieve in it in our society?
Thank you, Reverend. Equality has many different measures. As I mentioned before, everyone is equal, seeking happiness and disliking unhappiness. That measurement is from one's own viewpoint. Even the small insect or a big elephant, the mental attitude is the same. But three different persons, by nature they are equal, but to me they are unequal. So this is my fault. It's not their fault. When I practice the Upekya Bhavana, I image an enemy and loving people and unknown people. Three figures I image before me. To the loving people, my mother, I immediately feel love, compassion, affection. And I saw the enemy with whom I have great fight. I always feel angry, disliking. And the unknown person, I have no idea. I just ignore. So all three people are equal in reality. But I approach to them unequally. So this is a fault of my mindset. I projected many negative things to the so-called enemy and projected so positive things to the loving people, and now I'm feeling for the unknown people. Although all these three are sentient beings, and if I am Buddhist, I must practice equal love and compassion for all the three, but why I am not able to feel equal? That is the conditioning of my mind. So I shall have to liberate my mind from that conditioning so that I could be approach, my mindset could be equal to all the three persons. Because the enemy might be enemy in this life, many other lives he must have been my most loving mother or father, and the loving person is also in this life loving, but in other lives it might be my enemy. So there's no certainty, and only to see is the sentient being. As a sentient being, I should be approached equally to them. So therefore, it comes with the governance. A person who governs many people should have an equal feeling to everyone. This is difficult to achieve, particularly in the multi-party system. You have to feel more near to your own party, and you have to discriminate a little bit the other party. Otherwise, the person may not be qualified for the politics in the multi-party. So the equality, as I mentioned before, in the real action, you might have to discriminate something, but in the mental approach, you should have equal respect to all sentient beings, whosoever it may be. So, equality from one's own mind, equality in their real ground, equality in any kind of treatment. There are many different ways to measure, I think.
Your Eminence, I was really, in fact, all of us, I think, were impressed by the compassionate resolution and how even the French writer where we were translated into so many languages. One point I would not like to differ, but I would like to ask. Say we have in
the legislatures, we have this select committees where, if there is a disagreement, we give it to the select committee. You had said that among the 100 monks, if 99 of them, agree to one, but that one person is against it, then how, you could resolve that? That I would like to ask.
I don't have any answer how to resolve that, but I can only tell how the Buddhist monks will do. There are 3 stages. The one person is disagree to the Sangha karma, then Sangha will appoint a small group of people, which is not called committee, but is like committee, and then they ask to sit with that disagreed people, and discuss and understand his logic. And his logic is more reasonable than the majority's logic. Then they shall have to be report to the Sangha and says he has the reasoning and his reasoning is like that. Then they examine that. Then even that the person was not able to convinced by the committee, by the small group, and not the individual is not able to convince the small group and the Sangha, then there is a second time, Goa, Shamd Goa. Shamd Goa means then keep some time and select more intimate people to that person who are able to talk freely, intimately, and having good contact with them. They should sit together and discuss this thing. Even the second time also failed. Neither the person could convince the Sangha or the Sangha could convince them. Then the Sangha karma is broken. Then shall have to be postponed and it will not be able to carry. So this is the Sangha way. But it doesn't happen. So it may not be helpful to the your case. And it need not also, in our case, in the present democracy, the majority always carries the thing. The minority need not to be such giving importance.
Thank you, Your Eminence, for blessing us with your presence here today. I have a question which may be just out of my carelessness, but then I was just wondering, when His Holiness talks about secular ethics, he states that it is more broader than religion or politics. So in that sense, since you were the Prime Minister of the Tibetan state, and all political states are also guided by the desire of the citizens. So in that context, did you ever encounter any conflict between secular ethics and your duties and responsibility as the Prime Minister of the Tibetan government? Because, more often as individuals, as humans, we sometimes come into conflict between two different ethics, which we encounter also in our daily life. So I just want to know if you have come into such conflict and how you navigate through such a conflict. Thank you.
During my tenure as the chief of the Kashak, many of my decisions are become unpopular. But I don't have to face any direct conflict with any individual or groups. Because in our system, when the parliament approves the thing, then individual opposition in the common public is not taken into any consideration. They may criticize, but it will not affect to the decision of the executive. So therefore, sometimes I have to argue in the parliament at length, but anyhow, whether in the parliament or in the special general public meeting, wherever I put forward a policy which was not opposed by majority of them, then as I mentioned before, we also go by the decision of the majority. There are many things are unanimous also, but I don't find any such direct conflict to difficult to resolve. And contrarily, some of my decisions have become very unpopular at that moment. Now people appreciate that, and they become more popular after my retirement. So this is funny thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, please join me in sincerely thanking His Eminence Prof. Samdhong Rinpoche for the enlightening talk that we had this evening on secular ethics and governance. His Eminence, your presence here has been a profound honor and knowledge you've imparted for us being with us as we navigate our lives and our society with the challenges of governance and secular ideas. We are truly grateful for the time and effort you've dedicated to sharing your thoughts with us today. Thank you for your invaluable contributions to our understanding and for your ongoing commitment to fostering a more ethical and just world. Your wisdom and insights have deeply inspired us, and we are grateful for the guidance you've given us. Thank you for your time and presence, His Eminence. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a round of applause for Professor.